A vast, silent wilderness where life itself seems impossible. The air burns your lungs. The wind howls like a living creature, and every breath crystallizes before it leaves your lips. Beneath endless miles of snow and ice lies a world both beautiful and brutal, a place that tests the very limits of human endurance. In this frozen expanse, one mistake can mean death within minutes. A lone hunter moves cautiously across a frozen river. The ice groans under his feet, shifting like glass under pressure. He has walked this path many times before, trusting his instincts, his training, and the wisdom passed down through generations. But then, a sound, a sharp crack. Silence. The surface collapses beneath him. In an instant, he's plunged into black, freezing water. The shock hits like lightning. His chest tightens. His body convulses. His breath disappears before he can scream. The cold bites like knives, seeping through his fur clothing, draining his heat faster than he can make it. His vision narrows. Panic rises foremost of us. This would be the end. Before the Arctic hunters, it was only the beginning of another test. One they knew how to face. For thousands of years, Arctic peoples, the Inuit, the Sami, the Chukchi, and others lived, hunted, and thrived in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth. Falling through ice wasn't a rare tragedy. It was a fact of life. Hunters, fishers, travelers all faced the same deadly possibility. But somehow, they survived. Modern science tells us that the human body loses heat 25 times faster in water than in air. Within seconds, the cold shock triggers uncontrollable gasps. Within 10 minutes, your muscles stop working. Yet the Arctic hunters, without modern gear or rescue tools, learned how to outsmart death itself. They developed clothing that breathed like skin, shelters that captured warmth like living organisms, and techniques that reignited heat from within the body itself. In a world where the line between life and death was as thin as the ice beneath their feet, they built a survival system more advanced than anything the modern world could imagine. This is their story, the science, the wisdom, and the courage of the Arctic hunters who fell into freezing water and walked away alive. The Arctic doesn't just freeze, it consumes. It pulls the warmth out of everything it touches. Beneath its deceptive beauty lies an invisible killer. Water cold enough to stop the human heart in minutes. When a person falls through the ice, the first battle isn't against temperature, it's against the body itself. The shock is immediate. The skin's sensors ignite, the lungs gasp involuntarily, and the heart races uncontrollably. Every breath brings more icy water closer to the lungs. Within minutes, muscles seize, strength fades, and coordination collapses. But the Arctic peoples knew this well. They had seen it happen countless times, and some had lived to tell the story. Through centuries of experience, they learned the first rule of survival. Don't fight the cold. Understand it. Control your mind, and your body will follow. Panic is the real killer, not the water. They listened to the ice, respected its moods, and accepted its dangers as part of life. Their knowledge was born from countless winters, carved into memory through survival. The Arctic peoples were observers of nature long before they were hunters of it. Every child learned to read the language of the snow, to tell the difference between safe ice and deadly ice by sound alone. A sharp, brittle crack meant danger. A low groan meant safety. They could feel storms coming from the weight of the air or the way light reflected off the horizon. They studied the cold not as an enemy, but as a teacher. They discovered that survival was a kind of science, one of observation, patience, and precision. Their clothing was their armor. Caribou fur, with its hollow hairs, trapped layers of warm air like a natural insulation system. Seal skin, rich with natural oils, repelled water. They layered garments strategically, fur inward to hold heat, fur outward to block wind. Each layer breathed, allowing sweat to escape so moisture wouldn't freeze inside. Nothing was wasted, and nothing was random. Every stitch, every seam, every movement was the result of generations refining what worked. They didn't have laboratories. The land itself was their experiment. Every Arctic hunter knew what to do if the worst happened. The rules were simple but absolute. First, stay calm. Slow your breathing. Don't let shock win. Second, spread your arms and roll out. Not climb out. Climbing breaks more ice. Rolling spreads your weight. Once free, don't stop to rest. The real danger begins after escape, as the body temperature plummets and the wet clothing drains heat faster than the water did. They would squeeze water from sleeves and pants, shaking off ice. If others were nearby, they huddled together or swapped layers. If alone, they moved, not wildly, but methodically. Squats, arm swings, short runs, enough to force blood to circulate again. They knew that the warmth had to be rebuilt from the inside first. Even without a fire, they could survive, because they carried with them, not tools, but knowledge. Today, cold water survival experts and military divers use techniques nearly identical to those practiced by Arctic hunters centuries ago. Proof that their wisdom wasn't myth, it was science in its purest form. The Arctic hunters' true genius lay in design. Their homes, the igloos, were engineering masterpieces born from snow and necessity. The igloo's curved dome trapped warmth inside. Though the outside might be 40 grados, bajo cero inside it could rise to just below freezing, enough to keep people in clothes dry. The entrance was always lower than the living space, keeping warm air from escaping. Snow itself acted as insulation, reflecting body heat back into the room. Inside, seal oil lamps, called kulik, burned steadily, casting golden light and gentle warmth. They cooked, dried clothes, and kept the space alive. Every piece of clothing and tool was optimized for survival. Caribou hides for insulation, seal skin for waterproofing, sinew thread for stitching watertight seams. Even their boots were a system lined with dried grass or moss that absorbed moisture, replaced daily. The hunters understood the smallest details that made the biggest difference. They turned the cold into a tool, the snow into shelter, and the impossible into art. Centuries later, science would prove them right. Researchers discovered that caribou fur traps heat even when wet, because its hollow fibers hold air, a design now mimicked in advanced winter gear. Moisture control, not just insulation, was the key. The act of wringing out wet clothing immediately prevented deadly evaporative cooling. Their controlled breathing slowed the heart, conserving energy. Their calmness reduced heat loss. Their deliberate movement reactivated circulation. What they practiced intuitively was later confirmed in laboratories. Even their architecture inspired modern designs. The igloo's natural temperature regulation and air circulation became models for passive heating buildings. The kulak's steady flame showed perfect fuel efficiency. These weren't primitive customs, they were early science. Arctic hunters were not just survivors, they were innovators who mastered physics, biology, and thermodynamics through observation alone. They didn't just endure nature, they learned to live in perfect balance with it. The Arctic is more than a landscape. It's a mirror, reflecting the fragility and brilliance of humanity. To survive here is not to fight nature, but to listen to it. The Arctic hunters understood that the key to survival wasn't strength or speed. It was understanding. Their knowledge was their fire. Their calm was their weapon. Their respect for the environment kept them alive where others would perish. They didn't see the cold as an enemy to conquer, but as a teacher to obey. Today, as we face new extremes and changing climates, their wisdom feels more important than ever. Adapt, observe, respect. The same rules that kept them alive still guide us today. The Arctic hunters may have vanished into the snow, their traditions fading with time, but their spirit endures. It whispers through the wind and glows in the northern lights, reminding us that even in the coldest places on Earth, human ingenuity burns bright. Because in the end, it isn't the cold that defines us, it's how we rise after falling into it. If this changed how you see ancient engineering, hit that like button, and also subscribe this channel for more rediscovered genius. And tell me in the comments, what other mysteries should we uncover next?